Hello, welcome back to my fave fanfics. Here, I post, well, my favorite fanfictions, if that wasn't obvious. I do hope you'll enjoy them as much as I do. Please like and subscribe for more content. Without further ado, let's get started.
Welcome, my dear faves, to the second part of What If Wanderer Ended Up in the World of My Hero Academia. Credit goes to Phantom Fox 19. Chapter 6. Wanderer sat in his office looking at the news reports of him stopping crimes, saving people, taking down villains. These were connections. His blank slate had been filled with good actions, actions that saved people. Sighing, he rubbed his face. This was a big conundrum, but it should be so simple. Faruzan walked in with a big smile. Hiring that tutor was the best decision we've made. It started off rocky, but I think Himiko is really liking Fuyumi. Faruzan sat on top of his desk. Faruzan, I found a link back to Teyvat, he confessed. Faruzan froze and looked at him. You did? Exclamation mark. When? Quote. A week ago, when I was away, I made contact with Buer, the Dendro Archon. She said that she didn't know if there's a way back yet, but I told her about this world we're inhabiting. She asked me a question that gave me pause. What question would that be? Faruzan frowned. Are we willing to leave what we have built here behind? Quote. Faruzan closed her eyes and sighed. If you asked me that all those years ago, I would have said yes, but now I don't want to. Because of Himiko, Wanderer guessed. Yes and no, I've made connections here, people who I can call my friends and not just colleagues, Faruzan smiled. And yes, Himiko, she's so sweet and has the cutest smile, I see her as my own, I don't want to just leave, even if we can take her with us it wouldn't feel right just to displace her. We were displaced here, Wanderer countered. By accident or divine intervention, we didn't make that choice, Faruzan looked at him. I'm happy here, this world of heroes and villains, also it'll be hell going back to, as much as I hate to say it, primitive times, Faruzan admitted. Alright, that was also true for him. Technology here was more advanced and convenient. He leaned back and tapped his desk. I will talk to her and tell her that we will stay. Faruzan smiled. Maybe we can just visit, I do have some stuff there I wish to see. Make up your mind, Wanderer sighed. It was decided, the Wanderer won't just abandon his role as a hero. Wanderer was talking to Burnin as the latest villain he apprehended was being put into a cop car. I'll keep coming back. I am the Steel Ronin. Your nemesis. The villain was dressed in Ronin attire and screaming at the top of his lungs. Shut up, the cop grumbled. Wanderer paused and looked at Steel Ronin. The public watched with bated breath as the two stared down, until Wanderer burst out laughing, shocking everyone. The Wanderer had never laughed. The people recording the whole thing thought that they struck gold with this. You think you're my nemesis? Wanderer was trying to stop laughing. Burnin blinked at her boss in surprise. Who else has brought you to your limit? The villain cried out, only causing Wanderer to laugh louder. Wanderer finally calmed down and took a few breaths, some laughter still escaping. Oh please. The puppet's expression turned blank in a second. I faced cockroaches more resilient than you. His tone was dry and nailed it home. Some people in the crowd couldn't help but snicker and some went, oh. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Single quote dot. The villain looked humiliated as he was pushed into the police car. Bawahahaha. Boss, that was savage. Vernon burst out laughing. You think I've got a sharp tongue? Wanderer smirked. I just tell it as it is. If they can't handle it, that's their problem. The hero and sidekick left the scene with Vernon laughing the whole way. Sir, this is too much. Fuyumi exclaimed as she looked at the envelope that Wanderer had given her. You are helping Himiko with her studies, a girl who is labeled a villain. I think this is a suitable exchange. Plus, Faruzan insisted. Wanderer sighed as he spoke the last part. Fuyumi's sweat dropped. I see, that woman really acted like a mom. Well, I do not need the money. She tried to push it back. You may have Endeavor's money to help, but earning something is a good feeling, Wanderer told her. Fuyumi stopped. You know who I am. Yes, it was obvious. I don't hold anything against you if that's what you are concerned about, Wanderer explained. Fuyumi looked at the envelope before putting it in her bag. Thank you, I'll be back on Monday, she bowed. If you need anything, do not be afraid to ask me. Wanderer put hand on her shoulder. Fuyumi blushed and quickly left the lobby without another word. Wanderer was confused but shrugged. He turned to see Faruzan smirking a bit. What? Wanderer scowled. Oh, nothing, I just realized that there's more for you to stay for. Faruzan giggled and walked away. Excuse me? Wanderer rushed after her. What do you mean? Exclamation mark. He demanded, but she ignored him. There were many things he disliked. For one, people who just don't get the hint that he doesn't want to talk to them but they keep running their mouths. Wanderer had been taking down a villain alongside Ryukyu, the Dragoon hero. The woman herself was pleasant to talk to. She was good at her job and even offered to team up, something he declined. What he did have problems with was her intern. That specific dislike was personified in a Nijire Hado. Hey. So why the big hat? Can you fly into space? How old are you? How can you control your winds so well? Wanderer's brow twitched in annoyance as Nijire Hado hovered around him. Even when he tried to fly away, she was set on asking him questions. Ryukyu, control your intern or I'll blow her away. Wanderer gritted his teeth. Ryukyu simply smiled. Now Nijire. Wanderer needs to get going. The dragon hero told her intern, who pouted and stepped away. Thank you, now if you'll excuse me, he flew away. A new goal, keep away from that little pixie. Himiko. Faruzan shouted angrily at the blonde girl. When I told you to create an assignment on how quirk laws came to be, I expected an essay. Not this. Faruzan slammed the single piece of paper down with the words. The government created them. You asked me how it came to be. Basically that's how it happened. Himiko crossed her arms. Are you not listening to Fuyumi during her lectures? Question mark. I am paying for your education so you can get into a good school later in life and find a well-paying job. Faruzan argued. A school where I'll be oppressed. Himiko snapped. She understood her guardian's worries, but she didn't want to go to a school that would only shun her. Trust me, this school won't be like that, Faruzan huffed. And how would you know? Exclamation mark. Himiko hissed. Faruzan opened her mouth but paused and sighed. I just want what's best for you. Faruzan sat down. You are so talented, I want you to expand on that talent. Listen, my boss is friends with UA's principal. Hopefully I can get you in. Himiko blinked. The school for heroes? Quote. You don't have to be a hero, Faruzan quickly told her. You can be in general education, business, even support, I'll support you. Faruzan reached out and cupped Himiko's cheek with a soft smile. Himiko teared up. Ever since she was adopted by Faruzan, she's felt love from a parent. I want to think about it, she told Faruzan. The woman smiled. Take as much time as you need, you can redo your essay while you think. Faruzan got up. I expect a full essay before your next tutoring session. Faruzan left. Himiko groaned but took the paper and got started. She didn't want to let Faruzan down. A new hero had come onto the scene. Wanderer was chasing a guy on a motorcycle when he encountered this new hero. A man with red feathered wings. Hawks. The feathered yanked the man off the bike, causing it to swerve until more feathers pulled it off the road. The puppet didn't like him at all. He was too laid back but also efficient, too efficient for a new hero. It's an honor number 2. Hawks grinned as he reached out a hand to shake. Being courteous, he shook Hawks' hand. I've heard of you, Hawks, was it? Quote. Right-o, glad to see that my reputation precedes me. Hawks smiled wider. Wanderer raised an eyebrow and pulled his hand away. If that's all, I must go. Hey, why don't we get some chow? I know a few places, Hawks offered. I don't eat. With that, the puppet took off. Taking his phone out, he texted Nezu about Hawks. He got a weird feeling about that young man. Hawks watched as the Wanderer flew away. His phone rang right away. Picking it up, he placed it on his ear. Hello? Quote. Did you encounter him? A woman's voice asked. Yup, he's just as you described, doesn't talk much and is not sociable. Hawks answered as he looked at the cops taking the rider away. You weren't able to get anything out of him? The woman demanded. Nah, he just blew me off and flew away. Not like he's hiding something but like he didn't care at all about getting acquainted. Hawks shrugged. Keep an eye on him. With that the call ended. Hawks sighed and flew off. Hey. A female voice called out to Wanderer just after he took down a man who was using his enlargement quirk to destroy an office building. Apparently it was his old work office building and he was fed of the people who worked there. Turning around, he saw Rabbit Hero Mirko stomping over. I had him. She shouted. If that was the case, you would be the one in my place. Wanderer responded dully. Mirko growled in anger and annoyance. Then they both perked up. A moment later, they leapt into the sky in the same direction. Where do you think you're going? Exclamation mark. Mirko shouted as she hopped from building to building as the wind hero flew. To the sirens, he responded as if it was obvious. Why don't you go look for other crimes? We both don't need to be there. Fat chance. I'm taking this one. Mirko picked up speed only to see Wanderer fly faster. Hey. In the end, the two heroes raced to many different incidents where Mirko was trying to catch up to Wanderer, but with his ability and skills in flying, she was left in the dust. All this did was drive her to train harder. Wanderer simply found her annoying. Fuyumi didn't know what led to this. She was simply doing her job as Himiko's tutor. Teaching her what she needs, even being her friend. Her guardian, mother, but she doesn't know it yet. Faruzan is very adamant about Fuyumi staying to help Himiko. One day, she came to the agency and found out that the two were currently out and would be back soon. She was told to wait in one of the lounge rooms and so she did. The issue was that Wanderer was sitting on the couch sipping on tea and having some food. The two stared at each other for a moment before she snapped out of it. I apologize. I'll go. She was about to leave but he stopped her. Just sit down, I don't mind as long as you don't annoy me, Wanderer sighed. Yup, there was that bratty attitude. Fuyumi sat down and stared at his food. It was something she hadn't seen before. Did you eat before coming here? He asked as he noticed her staring. Her stomach growled before she could answer. He slid the bowl towards her. Eat, I'll be fine, he assured her as he leaned back. Blinking, she looked at the dish and asked, "What's this called?" Quote, "Shimi chazuk," Wanderer shrugged. "A variation of unagi chazuk I made." Fuyumi took a bite and her eyes went wide at the bitter yet sweet taste. "Oh wow, this is delicious," Fuyumi exclaimed. Wanderer couldn't help but smirk. "Thank you. I think my brother would like this. Do you think you can give me the recipe?" Fuyumi smiled. Very well. I have your number so I'll send it to you." Wanderer took out his phone. "Oh, I'll exchange my tofu recipe with you also. Call it a trade." Fuyumi felt herself relaxing around the hero. Faruzan and Himiko walked in to see the two chatting and Wanderer having a small smile on his lips. "Oh sorry we're late, traffic was horrific," Faruzan explained but had a smirk on her face as she saw the two getting cozy together. "It's alright." Fuyumi got up and smiled. "It wasn't too long, Himiko, are you ready to start?" Quote, Yeah. Himiko huffed as she walked over to Fuyumi. Wanderer got up and walked past Faruzan who had the biggest grin on her face. "What?" Wanderer scowled. "Did you enjoy your alone time with Fuyumi?" Faruzan teased. "It was pleasant. More pleasant than your constant nagging." Wanderer didn't understand why she was asking and left, ignoring Faruzan's smirk falling and her screaming. Chapter 7. Wanderer figured this was a good time to inform Faruzan of his secret. "What secret? You're a puppet?" Faruzan looked at her boss as she sat in front of him in his office. The door was closed and locked, so no one could walk in on their conversation. "Yes," Wanderer nodded. "I know that you find it hard to believe." "Oh, I believe you. I always had a theory that you were a robot or a cyborg." Faruzan cut him off. "What?" Wanderer looked at his assistant in disbelief. "Yeah, no one can stay awake for 3 days straight and not look fatigued. You also don't eat, only whenever you feel like it, and that in itself is rare." Faruzan smirked. "I think others think so too." Wanderer stared at Faruzan before sighing. "As I was saying, I am a puppet, created by the Raiden Shogun. But I was discarded and wandered Teyvat for a long time, then I ended up here." May I see your inner workings?" Faruzan got up and walked over, now looking intrigued. Wanderer shrugged. "I don't see an issue as long as you don't touch anything. One of the reasons I hired you was because of your expertise in mechanical engineering." "I think a puppet is different from anything I've seen," Faruzan countered and got behind him. "So let me guess, you hid your vision inside you?" Quote, "Yes, best to not show where my power comes from," Wanderer responded. "Ah, good call, I'll need you to strip to see your inner workings," Faruzan said. "Wait, do you have a male anatomy?" Faruzan looked at her boss with curiosity. Wanderer twitched. "I've made my decision." Himiko stood in front of Faruzan and Wanderer. The two were going over reports when Himiko barged into the room, much to Wanderer's annoyance. "Oh, what about?" Faruzan put her hands on her hips. "I want to be a hero," Himiko told her. "I want to enroll in the hero course." Quote, "Oh, that's great." Faruzan clapped with a big smile. "And I want you to train me." Himiko pointed to Wanderer. No, Wanderer rejected. Faruzan looked at her boss in shock. What? Exclamation mark. Himiko squawked. But Uncle Wan. Quote. No, and I told you not to call me that. Wanderer growled. Why not? Himiko pouted. He must have his reason in not wanting to train you, sweetie. Faruzan looked at Himiko. Multiple reasons, but one question, why do you want to be a hero? Wanderer asked. Himiko paused before she looked down. Because I want to show the people that I'm not a monster, that I can be something good, I want to prove them wrong. Himiko looked at Wanderer with a look of determination. Wanderer raises an eyebrow. So it's spite? Quote. Himiko faltered before she shook her head. No, I want to make sure that what happened to me doesn't happen to anyone else. Himiko, Faruzan looked sad about that fact but also proud of the maturity Himiko showed. I can't train you, even if I wanted to. I have nothing to teach you to help in becoming a hero. Wanderer told Himiko. But, I can find someone who can help you, that's what I can offer. Himiko smiled widely, her fangs showing proudly. Thank you, Uncle Wan. She around the desk and hugged the puppet who scowled. Don't call me that. Quote. But Wanderer is too long. Himiko whined. Faruzan laughed. So you want me to train her? Eraserhead asked as he looked at the Wanderer. Wanderer scheduled the meeting with the underground hero after some research. They met in a cafe in civilian clothes. For Wanderer, it was just a hoodie and sunglasses without the hat, but Eraserhead's outfit was the same, he wasn't well known. You're the best one to train her. Most heroes rely on their quirks, me included. I can teach her some hand-to-hand, whatever I know, but I can't teach her how to utilize stealth. Wanderer explained. She also needs to learn how to use knives for her transformation quirk. She can transform into anyone as long as she has some of their blood. Aizawa crossed his arms. I'm a teacher so I won't have a lot of time, he answered. He took his coffee and sipped on it. But I think I can squeeze her into it. She's the girl you saved, right? Quote. Yes, Wanderer nodded. She wants to become a hero so that it won't happen to anyone again, also despite those who see her as a monster. Aizawa nodded. I'll do it, you have to get her in shape though, he pointed out. I already have my sidekick doing that, Wanderer smirked. Good, don't go easy on her. Aizawa matched his smirk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. Burnin shouted as Himiko was practicing combat on a dummy, but it was harder than she thought. That punch was terrible. You have to use more of your body. Burnin shouted and demonstrated. See? Now again. Make sure you stick to form. After this, you have to give me 50 laps around the gym. Quote. Fucking bitch, Himiko grumbled. I heard that. 100. Quote. Fuck. Quote. In the prefecture of Mie, people were pointing at the sky as a plane was descending at an alarming rate. Mayday. Mayday. One of the turbines has blown and we're losing altitude. A pilot screamed into the headset. His co-pilot was trying to help in steering the plane away from the city but the controls were not responding. With the passengers, they were panicking as they fell from the sky. A child looked out the window and gasped. Dad! Look! Quote. Everyone heard the child and looked out the windows. Wanderer was flying next to the plane. His hat nowhere to be seen. He shot forward and flew under the plane. Wanderer. This is Ryukyu. We're en route, do what you can for now. Wanderer's earpiece rang. What do you think I'm doing? Wanderer scoffed as he put his hands on the hull of the plane. Controlling the wind around him and the plane, he pushed the wind current upwards. He grunted as the plane was heavier than he calculated, and the fact that its momentum was not helping. "Come on," Wanderer growled as he felt the vision inside him pulse with energy as he pushed it. The plane started to tilt upwards slightly. "More!" Wanderer shouted as he pushed upwards, the plane slowing down. Hey, you're really strong." Wanderer paused and looked to the side to see Nijire flying next to him. Damn it. He felt the weight lift from his hold. "So I assume that Ryukyu is here also?" Quote. "Yup." Nijire smiled. "Tell her to help me take this plane to the nearest airport." Wanderer sighed as Nijire flew away to talk to her mentor. After getting the plane to an airport and setting it down safely, Wanderer landed and summoned his hat. He placed it on his head. Ryukyu reverted back to her normal form and walked up to him. "Good work back there," she praised with a smile. "You did most of the work, I did what I could." Wanderer waved it off. He could give credit where credit was due. "You gave more time for me to come and help, that's nothing to dismiss," Ryukyu responded. "Hey, where did you get your hat from? You weren't wearing it when you were holding the plane, did you have it in your pocket somewhere?" Nijire popped up, asking questions. Wanderer's eye twitched in annoyance and he turned. "I'll leave the rest to you." He shot into the sky and flew off. He didn't answer my questions, Nijire pouted. Ryukyu simply patted her on the head. Understanding why he left in such a hurry. Wanderer! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Quote. Wanderer stiffened as he finished dusting off his hat. The wind hero was currently in the forest. He was close enough to respond to the call to help stop a forest fire. With his ability, he simply took away the oxygen in areas so the campers and forest rangers were able to go through without issue. There was another group of heroes that responded. "Hello Pixie Bob." Wanderer greeted her in a dull tone. The Wild Pussycats were an efficient rescuer group. He had respect for those who prioritized rescue over fighting. Although, one out of the 4 pussy cats, he found unbearable. "Thanks for the help. So I was wondering if you were free later?" Pix's smile turned sultry as she leaned forward. "No," Wanderer responded and walked away, causing the blonde to pout. "You have it from here?" Wanderer asked the other 3 as he walked up to them. "Yes, we were able to stop the fire and save the people, no casualties," Tiger responded. "Thank you for helping us out, Wanderer. What are you doing all the way out here?" Mandalay asked, putting a hand on her hip. "I fly all over Japan, these areas are also a part of Japan," Wanderer explained. "Well, leave the natural disasters to us and other heroes," Ragdoll huffed. "I'll keep that in mind, but everyone could use a hand." Wanderer hovered and flew away before Pixie could tackle him. "Boo-hoo." Pixie pouted more as Mandalay sighed. "Really?" Quote. "Don't tell me you don't find him attractive." Pixie Bob exclaimed. "He's easy on the eyes." Ragdoll hummed as she turned and walked away with Tiger in tow. "Exactly. Who knows what he's like when he's not working, he has to be good husband material." Mandalay sighed in exasperation. "Damn Wanderer." Endeavor growled as he watched the news, speaking of the Wanderer's achievements. "Ever since that brat came into the scene, he's lost his spot on second and was now the number 3 hero. It was humiliating." Shoto. Endeavor called out. "It's time for training." Quote. Fuyumi heard this and sighed as she looked at her brother, who simply got up and walked to the training ground. She could see the hatred in his eyes. She wished that her family could be whole and normal. Izuku Midoriya ran through the streets, eyes wide and bright as he saw the crime in progress in the distance. He always loved seeing villain fights up close. He could see the quirks and analyze them. Whoa! That's a large villain! Izuku exclaimed as he got in close. He took out his notebook and started to write down. In another part of the city, close to the Wanderer Agency, small feet hit the pavement of an alley, bright green eyes blinked and looked around. There was a gasp. The experiment was a success. I should be able to move to and from now. This is so exciting. Chapter 8. Wanderer was flying through the air, enjoying the sound of the wind as he flew over the clouds. Times like this he savored. He wishes he could read a book up here, but the wind would make it hard and he'd prefer to not use a phone. Maybe a tablet? Just then, his phone started to ring. Sighing, he took it out and flew lower to pick up the phone. Wanderer. Sir, you need to come back to the office, there's someone here to see you. Wanderer raised an eyebrow as it was Minami. Where's Faruzan? He asked as he started to make his way back to his agency. Currently out on lunch with Himiko, Minami responded. I don't recall her scheduling a meeting, Wanderer said. It's a little girl, sir. She said she needs to speak with you, Minami explained. What? Where are her guardians? Wanderer asked as he flew a bit faster. I don't know, sir. Do you know anyone with white hair and green eyes? Quote. Wanderer stiffened as his eyes widened. I'll be right there. Send her straight to my office. He hung up and called Faruzan. After 2 rings, she picked up. What is it? I'm on my break. She obviously didn't read the caller ID. Come to my office now, it's an emergency, Wanderer ordered. What? Why? What happened? Faruzan asked as he heard her get up. We have a special guest. Wanderer responded as he flew towards his agency. Wanderer barged right into his office with Faruzan in tow. Sitting in one of the guest chairs was the Dendro Archon herself, Nahida. Instead of her white dress, she wore a white button-up shirt that looked similar to her dress and a black skirt. She looked at Wanderer and smiled. Fujin. Quote. Fujin? Himiko and Faruzan parroted and looked at Wanderer, who looked ticked. Wait, did you not tell them your name? Nahida looked confused. No, I did not. Himiko, please go and find Minami while Faruzan and I talk to Nahida. Wanderer waved Himiko away. Okay, Uncle Fujin. Himiko smirked and walked out with a skip in her step. Nahida tilted her head as she noticed the surprised looks from Faruzan. Are you ashamed of the name the traveler gave you? She asked him. Why are you here? The puppet walked past her and sat on his chair with a sigh. I can't come and visit? Nahida smiled at Wanderer. Faruzan took her normal place next to Wanderer. I think what he means, Lord Kusanali, is how you got here and the reason behind it, Faruzan asked politely. Please, call me Nahida. As for how I got here, after finding the ley line that brought Fujin here, I was doing some experiments on it. After some time, I and a few others were able to create a gateway. It was a test, but it was a success, Nahida explained. It was with a few I knew who I could trust. The project itself is a secret. Wanderer nodded his head. And do you have a way to return? He questioned. I feel the tether to Teyvat and simply need to pull on it to return, Nahida confirmed. I came here because I was curious about this world and wanted to see it with my own eyes. Technology has advanced so much without the aid of the gods. Nahida looked out the window as her expression shifted to one of slight sadness. Wanderer had an idea of what came to her mind when those words left her lips. Kenraya, the nation that thrived without gods. This is what Teyvat would have been like if Celestia didn't destroy the nation. They both weren't there 500 years ago, but from what they've heard, it was bad. I agree, when I first arrived here, I was so surprised by how much technology advanced. Although there are aspects that this world hasn't advanced in, like robotics. Although from all the Terminator movies I've watched with Himiko, I think that's better left alone. Faruzan piped in, not noticing the tense silence the two shared. Movies? Nahida looked at Faruzan. Oh, films about fictional stories that people here created. It's all made up, but you'd be surprised by how interesting it is to watch. Even books that are complete fiction. I believe you were reading the Hunger Games book Fujin. Faruzan looked at Wanderer, who grunted as she said his name and crossed his arms. Well, have you gotten to the part where? But Faruzan was cut off by Wanderer giving her a harsh glare. I'll take it as a no in not finishing that book. Faruzan relented. Nahida giggled. I want to see these movies and books you two are talking about. Don't you have a nation to run? Wanderer gave her a look. Nahida hummed. I do, but I left someone in charge until I go back, plus things have been calm and nothing has been going on. As for why I came, I wanted to see if you two made your decision. We've decided to stay, we built lives here. Wanderer told Nahida, who smiled. She looked to Faruzan, who nodded in agreement. I want to stay too, I have Himiko to look after. I understand, and I'm glad that you both found something to stay for. Nahida then tapped her chin. Well, if you want to explore the place, I can take you around. Faruzan offered with a smile. In case you're forgetting, we can't just take her out of the office. She has no documentation to speak of, and if you are caught by any officers, you'll be questioned. Wanderer crossed his arms. Well, how did you two get your documents? Nahida tilted her head. I got mine by questionable means. Faruzan blushed and coughed into her hand. I had help from. Wanderer's eye twitched. Oh. Nezu. Faruzan exclaimed. Nezu? Oh. The principal of Uwa High School. Nahida remembered. She was actually quite curious about the animal, more specifically about what species he was. Give him a call. Faruzan turned to Wanderer, who scowled but grumbled and grabbed his phone and started dialing. I never once believed in gods. Nezu commented as he sipped the tea that Faruzan provided for them. But seeing one right in front of me brings a new perspective. If the thought of me being a god makes you uncomfortable, you can just consider me a very powerful immortal. Nahida told Nezu as she sipped her own tea. I already do, Nahida. Nezu smiled. This tea is amazing, and there are more flavors? Nahida asked. Wanderer was watching with an annoyed twitch. 3 people that rode him up the wall were in the room. Now he wished he could go out on patrol. We need your help in getting Nahida documents, like you did with me. Wanderer told Nezu. Nezu looked at the wind hero and sipped his tea. Well, that should be simple. She looks young and can pass off as 7 years old. Nezu told Wanderer. That can work. Nahida smiled. Very well, that may be our best option, Wanderer sighed. Wonderful. I will work on the documentation right as soon as I return to my office in UA. Nezu grinned. You can show Nahida around while you wait. Oh, I would love that. Wanderer groaned. This was gonna be a long day. Wanderer was taking Nahida around the city. The first stop was a bookstore, no surprise. Nahida requested books on the history of the world and some books on fairy tales? This world is so advanced, maybe we can incorporate this into our own world in different ways. Nahida explained as she started reading one of the books as they walked. You could use the internet, Wanderer sighed as he tugged on his cap. Internet? Quote. Think of the Akasha but without the need of a gnosis, Wanderer summarized it. Oh. You have to show me. Nahida looked excited. Be warned, people can always add to it so there can be false information, so you must be cautious and look for a reliable source. Wanderer warned her. Nahida nodded in understanding. That is to be expected, she said as they walked to the train station and waited for a train. Nahida looked up and saw people on electronic devices and then at Wanderer. Is it always like this? She asked him. Yes, people have become very reliant on technology. It does help in daily life, but a lot of people tend to overuse it as it can be used for entertainment purposes. Wanderer explained. Nahida nodded slowly. I see, that is unfortunate. The train arrived and the duo went inside. It's like the aqua bus in Fontaine. Nahida marveled as she took a seat next to Wanderer. Hang on. Wanderer warned as the train left and picked up speed. Nahida was surprised by how fast it was going. Wow. Nahida looked out the window in wonder. Wanderer couldn't help but smirk. Even as an urchin, she acted like a child, but he couldn't blame her, his first time flying over the city. He himself marveled at the sight of the towers of concrete and metal made by people. Humans are capable of wonders. Nahida muttered as she sat down. Where is this train taking us? Quote. There are a few stops before our destination. I'm taking you to a cafe I like to visit, Wanderer told her. Nahida smiled. Do they have sweets? Quote. Wanderer rolled his eyes. After making it to the cafe, Nahida was glued to the glass that was displaying sweets. The worker looked at the Wanderer and chuckled. Is she yours? He asked. No, she's my aunt's, Wanderer lied swiftly. Do you have anything with nuts? Nahida looked up at the worker. Wanderer watched as Nahida picked out some sweets and they sat down as Nahida was nibbling on the sweets. Nahida, how long do you intend to stay? He asked her. Good question. It would be nice to know if there is some time dilation between worlds. I arrived 5 hours ago? Nahida paused her nibbling. I should leave as soon as we return and I'll come back a week later in Tevat time. Wanderer nodded. Fine, Nezu will have documents made by then. Also please refrain from informing others of that name. Nahida looked puzzled. Why? Do you not like the name? Quote. Wanderer stayed silent, looking to the side. You still don't feel worthy of using the name? After everything you've achieved? Nahida frowned. My sins overtake my good deeds here. But this is a blank slate, as I have told you, your sins have vanished. Not to me, my memories remain. I chose to take back my memories so I can atone for my sins. Perhaps one day. Wanderer sighed. Nahida couldn't help but smile. Before all this, Wanderer was so cold and distant, but now, here, he was open, more emotional. He saved people his own way. He had changed all these years. She felt proud of the puppet for all his sins. His deeds here shine brightly. Wanderer, Faruzan and Nahida were standing in his office. Okay, so hopefully I can go back without any issue. I will return in a week, depending on time dilation. It's been years since I arrived. It's most likely that there will be a time difference. Wanderer crossed his arms. True, but if Nahida said that she gained some control over the ley line that brought us here, She might be able to change it so that there won't be a time difference, Faruzan responded. The only way to see is to test it. I will see you soon, Nahida smiled and then vanished in a shower of blue light. Faruzan smiled and then turned to Wanderer with a glare. What? Wanderer scowled. Fujin? Faruzan crossed her arms. How come you never told me? Exclamation mark. Quote. Wanderer's scowl lessened. I just didn't want to say, not yet, he sighed. Faruzan's anger subsided. Oh, were you planning on telling me? She asked. Wanderer wouldn't admit it, but Faruzan was one of his closest friends and his assistant. She helped him with his agency and gave her all in anything she put her mind to. She is a reliable ally. Yes. I'll tell Himiko to not spread the name out. We still want to keep your secretive past a secret to the public. It's good PR. Faruzan walked out. But she'll still call you Uncle Fujin when we're alone. Quote. Wanderer sighed. Oh joy. Chapter 9. Nahida returned a week later as promised. According to her, the ley line had stabilized, so now time was in sync once more. It was strange to say the least. Today, Wanderer was taking her through the city of Mustafasu. Thank you for taking me. Are you sure that this won't affect your hero work? Nahida asked Wanderer. It's of no consequence. I can simply dispatch any crime I come across and come back. Wanderer waved her off. Faruzan was busy and told him that he had to accommodate her. He didn't have any issues with it. A break was necessary from time to time. Oh, there's a beach here, can we go? Nahida asked him as she read the sign that showed where the beach was. Dagoba Beach, said to have mountains of trash. I don't suggest that, Wanderer sighed. Come on, I don't think it's that bad. Nahida smiled as she went ahead of him. She had read his mind. As they made it to the beach, Nahida's expression turned sad. Oh, it is that bad, she commented. Wanderer shook his head. Things like this made him wonder how humanity stayed functioning. All Might. Wanderer turned to the source of the noise and noticed the number one hero in his skinny form, talking to a young teen with green hair. He looked familiar. Wanderer walked through the trash while Nahida followed. The wind hero stepped behind All Might in his skinny form and cleared his throat. Yagi jumped and looked behind him and slumped. Wanderer, it's only you. What are you? Who is this? He asked as he noticed Nahida staring at him intently. She's a child I'm looking after. Her name is Nahida, Wanderer answered. I should be asking you why you're here, with a child of your own I might add. He crossed his arms. Well? He's training Izuku Midoriya to gain one for all, Nahida answered. All Might looked at the girl in shock. Right. Her quirk is mind reading and as a byproduct makes her more intelligent, Wanderer explained. Please don't tell anyone else, Yagi begged, the most dangerous secret, revealed by a little girl. I won't. Nahida kept her innocent smile. I just wonder, have you been training him to fight as well or are you just building muscle? Quote. Wanderer looked at Yagi with a raised eyebrow. That was enough of an answer. What's this kid's quirk? Wanderer asked him. He's quirkless, Yagi answered with a small flinch. Wanderer nodded. He looked at the boy. He was scrawny, no muscles, no experience. What kind of training did he have beforehand? Quote. Yagi opened his mouth but closed it. Start from the beginning. Wanderer demanded as he narrowed his eyes. 5 minutes later, Wanderer was glaring at the symbol of peace. He asked you if he could be a hero without a quirk and you said no? How hypocritical. He scoffed as he crossed his arms. Yagi himself was quirkless, so how can he be so stupid in his answer? I know that it's as bad as it sounds, but what was I supposed to tell him? Yagi asked. Wanderer turned heel and walked towards the boy known as Izuku Midoriya. I'll give you one good example. Yagi looked and was about to stop him, but Nahida grabbed his pant leg. Let's see how this plays out, she told him. This will help Midoriya gain a new perspective and help him grow. He didn't know why, but he felt compelled to listen to her as she sounded wiser than she looked. Izuku was hauling a tire through the beach before a wind blade landed in front of him, causing Izuku to yelp and stumble back. He turned and saw the Wanderer hovering in front of him with judgmental eyes. Wanderer. Izuku's fear evaporated and was replaced with awe. What, how? Can you be a hero without a quirk? Wanderer asked in a cold tone. Izuku froze. A question that you asked All Might and that Buffon answered incorrectly, so I'll answer it with questions of my own. Wanderer landed on the sand and walked towards him. Have you trained your body to handle dangerous hero work before he offered to give you his quirk? Quote. Not even acknowledging how the Wanderer knew that bit of information. Izuku stepped away, the Wanderer's glare instilling fear once more. No. Have you trained in any fighting styles or martial arts to become a hero? Wanderer asked. Izuku felt his back hit a garbage pile. No. Did you plan on working in the logistical side of hero work? Quote. No. Izuku exclaimed. Then how do you expect to take a hero exam if you had no preparations? No training, not even a body to take a hit from a villain who will kill you the moment you step into the field without any remorse? Wanderer demanded. Police officers spend years training to apprehend criminals. Firefighters train to save people from disasters, and paramedics study for a long time to save people who are injured or close to death. So answer me, Izuku Midoriya. What have you done to prepare yourself for a job that puts you in the front lines of danger? Quote. Izuku took the time to process the hero's words and it crashed down on him. He didn't prepare, he just wrote on his hero notebooks and fantasized about being a hero, never working on himself to make it a reality. Nothing, but I'll work hard to make it work. Izuku glared back at the hero. They glared at each other for a solid minute before the hero smirked. There it is, conviction. He stepped away. I just had to make sure that the next wielder isn't a coward. Izuku blinked confused before his eyes widened. Wait, how do you know about One for All? Question mark. He asked. Because he was there the day I got my injury. I told him about my quirk after he saved me. Yagi answered as walked towards them. Really? Exclamation mark. Izuku looked at Wanderer with wide eyes. I was in the neighborhood. The puppet rolled his eyes. All Might explained what happened that day. Wanderer even butted in asking if Izuku knew about All for One. He didn't, and that took a whole hour to explain. Nahida listened with a small frown. She stared at All Might. She heard some static in his head. No, not static, but other thoughts that didn't come out clearly. Wanderer left with Nahida to let the master and apprentice talk more. At least I stepped in before that buffoon caused any damage, Wanderer sighed. Something is amiss with his power. From what I gathered, it's a crystallization of multiple generations, gathering power from each user, Nahida said. And? Wanderer looked at her, wondering where she was going with this. What if One for All doesn't just stockpile power, but souls? Nahida looked at him. That would be a bigger headache. Fuyumi just finished her last class for the day and was walking home. Ever since she got this new teaching job, she's been happy and prepared because dealing with Himiko helped her with the other rowdy students. Fuyumi sighed as she shouldered her bag. She bumped into someone. Fuyumi looked down and blinked as bright green eyes looked back at her. "Oh hello, I'm so sorry I bumped into you." Fuyumi knelt down. "Are you lost?" Quote. The little girl stared at her for a while before shaking her head. "No, I was just walking ahead of Fujin," she responded. "Fujin?" Fuyumi looked around. "You mean your guardian?" Quote. "There you are." A familiar male voice got her attention. Fuyumi turned and saw Wanderer standing there, in his disguise holding a bag. "Oh." Fuyumi got up. "Is she yours?" Fuyumi asked, "When did he have a kid?" Wanderer's eye twitched and he looked at the girl. "Don't go running off like that, Nahida, and no, she isn't mine, but I'm looking after her." "Oh, wait, your name is Fujin?" Fuyumi asked him. With a name like that it made sense. Wanderer stiffened and he gave Nahida a small glare. "Hey, don't look at her like that. She was lost and just gave the name to who was looking after her." Fuyumi crossed her arms with a glare of her own. Wanderer glared at Fuyumi, who matched his glare with her own. They kept glaring at each other for a minute before Nahida pulled on Fuyumi's pant leg. "How do you know each other?" she asked. Fuyumi turned to the girl. "I tutored someone who he saved and he helped me get the teaching job I have now," Fuyumi explained with a smile. "I simply recommended you. You got it because you passed the interview." Wanderer dismissed it with a wave. "And I was able to do my job because you took me on to help Himiko, so I have you to thank for the experience," Fuyumi retorted. "I must be going. I have to go home and cook dinner. Take care, Nahida, and it was good to see you again, Fujin." Fuyumi smiled at Nahida and patted her head before giving Wanderer a wave and left. "So that's Fuyumi." Nahida smiled at Wanderer, who glared at her. "Did you have to give her that name?" Quote. "Faruzan told me all about how you two looked cute together and I agree," Nahida giggled. "What does that have to do with anything?" Wanderer demanded. "Ah, right, you aren't familiar with the concept of romance." Nahida frowned a bit. "I know about romance, but what does that have to do with this?" Wanderer looked at her puzzled. "Nothing," Nahida smiled. "Nothing at all. Fucking heroes." In a warehouse, a drug deal was going on between two groups. "They're breathing down our necks, can't even get a good place to meet up." A druggie with a lion head sat on a chair and sniffed. "You got the money?" he asked as one of his friends came up with a duffel bag of supposed drugs. The other group, whose leader was a woman with scales for skin, huffed and snapped her fingers. A man stepped forward and showed a suitcase with money. "We have what we offer, but do you have what you're selling?" Quote. The lion druggie smirked. "Of course I do. What do you take me for?" Quote. "I hear rumors of you scamming customers with fake drugs to make money, so open the bag," the woman demanded. Hey now, I'm as good as my word." The lion druggie opened the duffel bag and tossed a pack of white substance to the woman. She caught it and examined it. "And I'm supposed to believe that the rest are the same?" The woman glared. Excuse me?" A young man with a hoodie covering his face stepped up from the woman's side. "May I look at it?" Quote. The druggie looked at the woman, who nodded. "Go right ahead." The young man stepped forward and looked through the duffel bag. Finally good to see Kinji taking initiative," the woman muttered. Ma'am, Kinji couldn't make it, that's Daru," another henchman answered. What? No, that's a Daki. Another henchman piped up. The woman looked at the young man in suspicion. Half of it is real. The young man got up. You're wrong, it's all real. The druggie took out a gun as did everyone else. The young man scoffed. If this how organized you are, it's no wonder you got caught. The bay doors blew open. All right. Hands in the air. Fat Gum called out, running in. Heroes. The lion druggie looked at the young man who flew into the air and wind started to gather around him. This is yours. Fat Gum threw a familiar hat like a frisbee and the wanderer caught it, placing it back on his head. Oh shit. The druggie knew he was screwed. Long story short, this gang has been selling drugs. But some of the drugs were just powder or another substance. Fat Gum explained as he ate some takoyaki. So they're just trying to scam their clients to make more money. How stupid. Wanderer shook his head. Yeah, once we get the information on where the lab is, this whole case is done. Thanks for the assistance, Fat Gum said as he chewed. Wanderer smirked. It was fun to impersonate them. They're too stupid to realize it before it was too late. You know I won't be surprised if you become number one, Fat Gum told Wanderer. All Might is still around, although he won't be around forever, Wanderer sighed. True, but most don't realize that, Fat Gum frowned. I'm just here doing what I can when I can do it, ya know. Most heroes are becoming complacent. Wanderer crossed his arms. Yeah, there are rumors going around that someone is killing heroes out there, Fat Gum said in a grave tone. Wanderer scowled. I've heard, but I haven't found anything yet. If you have any other information, let me know. Wanderer turned and walked away from the scene. Damn it. Endeavor shouted as he slammed his fist onto his desk. That brat's been staying ahead of me. More cases, longer patrols, he isn't human. Endeavor scowled. I tried so hard, I pushed myself to the limit, and I'm still behind. He looked out the window of his office. I have to push Shoto harder, he will become better than All Might and Wanderer. Endeavor clenched his fist. In a dark lab, All for One was strapped to medical equipment and on a call. And what of the first Nomu, Doctor? AFO asked. He'll be ready soon, sir, just some finishing touches. Excellent, and the other one? Quote. A little longer, sir. The first is easy because it's meant for the number one hero. But the number two is a bit more difficult. He's faster and more agile. Take your time, Doctor, we have all the time in the world. Soon those two fools will be dead and their quirks will be mine. AFO smiled dementedly. Chapter 10. Himiko stared at UA. Today was the day. She had to make Faruzan and Uncle Juan proud. She took a deep breath and then rushed inside. Izuku Midoriya arrived at the gate and was breathing heavily. I made it. The story of the next one for all user was about to start. As was the story of the vampiric heroine. Mount. Lady was fighting a villain that was able to match her size. The difference was that this person looked like a golem. Back off. Mount. Lady was about to deliver an uppercut, but a very strong gust of wind hit the villain right in the face, knocking him back and knocking him out. Mount. Lady blinked as she shrunk back down. She noticed Wanderer standing there. Hey! She shouted. Wanderer turned to her looking unimpressed. That was my villain. Quote. Was it? Wanderer asked mockingly. I didn't see you, piece of advice. Focus more on actual hero work than showing off. He waved her off and flew away. Mount. Lady gritted her teeth, but she started blushing. Fucking brat, why does he have to be so cute? She crossed her arms. Yes, she had a thing for bratty bad boys. It started when she saw Wanderer on the news during his debut. She turned away from any paparazzi. She wasn't in the mood. Faruzan was in her apartment. The UA entrance exam was a week ago and now should be the day that Himiko's letter should arrive. Himiko was in her room, doing who knows what. Faruzan sighed as she finished cleaning. Ever since adopting Himiko, she's had to learn a lot of things to accommodate her ward. She passed by the front door and noticed a letter. Faruzan grabbed the letter and ran towards Himiko's room. Himiko, it's here. Quote. Get out of my RO, wait, it's here. Question mark. Himiko jumped off the bed. She had been trying on some cute clothes she found, but that didn't matter anymore. Do you want to see it alone or? Faruzan gave the half-dressed Himiko the letter. Yes, please. Himiko nodded and Faruzan exited the room to wait. Himiko opened the letter and found a small device. The device activated and a hologram of Aizawa was shown. Himiko, I would normally let the rat do this, but I feel it necessary to tell you this myself. Aizawa crossed his arms. You passed your written exam with a 79. You could do better, so do better. Aizawa narrowed his eyes. Himiko rolled her eyes. Faruzan had made her study hard for the exam, it was torture. Now, for the other exam, 32 villain points, not bad, but it's not good either. Aizawa crossed his arms. Himiko looked down, her hopes being crushed. She didn't make the cut. However, the blonde looked up to see Aizawa smirking. That's not the only thing we've been looking for, tell me. What's the most important job a hero has? Quote. Himiko answered. Saving people. If you said saving people, you're correct. What's the point of beating villains when there's no one to protect? A few clips were shown with Himiko helping people get out of the way of robots that were about to crush them. Being a hero means saving people. With that, you've received 35 rescue points. You currently have 67 points in total. Aizawa smirked wider. Congratulations Himiko. This is your Hero Academia. The letter that came with this recording shows what you need for your school. With that, the recording ends. Faruzan paced in front of the door, worried until Himiko threw the door open. I got in. Himiko cheered. Faruzan's eyes went wide and she grinned. That's my girl. She cheered. I couldn't do it without you, Mom. Himiko hugged Faruzan. Faruzan's eyes went wide when Himiko called her that. Slowly, Faruzan hugged Himiko back. I'm so proud of you, my daughter. Faruzan started crying as she held the blonde girl in a tight grip. Mom, Himiko sighed as Faruzan held Himiko tightly, but she couldn't help but smile at the woman who raised her when she was at her lowest. As far as Himiko was concerned, Faruzan was her real mom. Wanderer hung up on Faruzan after she gave him the news that Himiko made it into UA and the fact that Himiko finally acknowledged her as her mother. He was proud of Himiko, it was hard not to be. He remembered the girl he found in that school. Now she was going to UA and learn how to be a hero. He took a sip of his tea and looked out the window of his office. He couldn't help but smirk. Wanderer flew through the sky, things were quiet. Japan's crime rate has lowered by 10% these past few years, thanks to him and All Might. That was a huge leap. The puppet sighed as he stopped to hover. He has been flying for quite a while, not even considering his destination. Looking around, he found himself in a familiar district. He turned and saw the school that Fuyumi worked in. He turned to fly away but paused. Perhaps he should check up on her. Fuyumi just finished her class. She walked down the hall with a contemplative frown on her face. She paused and looked out the window. To her surprise, she saw a blur of light blue going up. She made her way up to the roof in moments. She opened the door and found the wanderer leaning on the railing. Fuyumi was surprised by his appearance, but it wasn't unwelcomed. "Fujin," she greeted him. Wanderer scowled but closed his eyes. "Don't call me that. Is something wrong with calling you by your name?" Fuyumi asked as she walked over to him. Wanderer sighed. "It's a long story." Fuyumi stood next to him. "Alright, why are you here?" Quote, "Can't come to visit?" Wanderer retorted with a smirk. No," Fuyumi shook her head. "You can, it's just surprising." Wanderer nodded. "I had a feeling something was wrong, so I thought I'd check up on you." Fuyumi frowned and looked over the city. "Is there something wrong?" Wanderer asked. Should she say something? She didn't want to, but she can't talk to anyone else but her brother about this, and she knew Natsuo's feelings about this. She closed her eyes. "You know about my father," she muttered. "Endeavor." Wanderer nodded. "I used to have 3 other siblings. The oldest, he perished." Fuyumi told him. Wanderer looked at her, with rapt attention. "I was born after him," she continued to explain. "Then there's Natsuo, he came after. And then there's Shoto, the youngest." She looked down. "Our father married our mother for her quirk. His is fire, my mother's was ice." Wanderer's expression turned blank. "My father wanted a child with the perfect quirk. The oldest had fire, but no ice. I have ice." Fuyumi raised her hand and let off some ice vapor. "My brother has an ice quirk too, but Shoto, he was the one father was looking for." Wanderer's hands clenched the railing hard. As soon as Shoto was able to walk, he started training him, isolating him and pushing him, all because he wants Shoto to surpass All Might. And now, you as well. There was a groan. Fuyumi turned and saw that the railing Wanderer had his hands on was bent, crushed under his grip. "Sorry, continue." Wanderer's tone was emotionless. "Our mother had a breakdown. She burnt Shoto's left eye. Father admitted her to a hospital. Shoto's been so distant, cold, and father's been pushing him harder than before. Now that you took the number 2 spot." Fuyumi started to cry. "I know my father's done horrible things, but I just want us to be a family. I just want him to stop with this stupid contest," she sobbed. Wanderer looked at her. He reached out and rubbed her back. "I'm sorry," he uttered. Fuyumi shook her head. "It's not your fault. Natsuo hates him. Shoto does as well. I just want us to be a family. I'm trying to build bridges to connect us in some way." Wanderer sighed. "You have done more than enough, Fuyumi Todoroki. But what you're looking for is not possible if those involved don't wish to help you build that bridge," he told her. Fuyumi slammed her fist against the railing weakly. "It's just so hard," she whispered. Wanderer thought back to the books he read, books that Nahida told him to read. He reached out and pulled her into a hug. Fuyumi blinked at his attempts at a hug. It was obvious with how stuffy he was that this was the first time giving one. "You've never given a hug before, have you?" Fuyumi muttered as she buried her face into his chest. "No," Wanderer answered. Fuyumi snorted and smiled despite her tears. "Well, no need to be so stiff," she muttered. Wanderer rolled his eyes but relaxed, and Fuyumi held onto him for a good 5 minutes before she pulled away. "Thank you, I needed that." Wanderer nodded slowly. "If you need to talk, you can contact me," he told her. Fuyumi smiled softly and brushed her hair away from her face. Thank you, I'll keep that in mind." Wanderer turned his head. "I need to go." Fuyumi nodded and the puppet shot into the sky. Her heart fluttered a bit. Wanderer flew through the sky. He noticed the sun was setting. He was trying to maintain his emotions. He felt disgusted. How pathetic can the number 3 hero be? Very apparently. He felt rage, but he needed to control himself. The perfect child, the perfect vessel. Wanderer narrowed his eyes in anger. Wanderer stopped when he spotted a group of people with mutant quirks. He watched as they were talking and then they went into an alley. He continued to watch until he noticed kids coming down the street. He clenched his fists when he saw the villains grabbing a few from the group when the kids didn't notice. Well, he needed a punching bag. The group of villains were holding some unconscious kids with rags in hand. "Ha ha ha. Boss, this was easy." A hyena mutant told his boss, who looked like an ogre. "Quiet moron, don't want to alert any heroes," the ogre scolded. The villains turned a corner, where their van waited. But then, a figure crashed onto the roof of the van, hard. The ogre mutant stopped. "What? Oh shit." The mutant recognized the distinct hat of the Wanderer. "You guys picked the wrong time to commit crimes," Blank said in a cold tone. Blank glared at the villains with rage in his eyes. The villains shook in fear, rooted to the spot. Blank stepped off the car and walked towards them. They swore. The outfit of the hero turned from blue to purple and his visage. But all it was the trick of the light. "Targeting kids? Have you no standards?" Blank scoffed. Who was he to talk? All the crimes he committed, but that's why he became a hero. To rectify his sins, but he was too angry to care. The villains didn't see the uncaring visage of the Wanderer. They saw the rage of the balladeer, Scaramouche. The police reports told that the men who were child molesters had broken bones and couldn't speak from the trauma and the crushed larynx. The van was filled with kids under the age of 7. Wanderer called it in, citing that they attacked, and he responded. The officers who apprehended the villains looked disgusted, not by the carnage but by the villains and the evidence of molestation they found in the van. The look they gave the Wanderer was one of understanding and gratitude. Humanity was a complicated race. Wanderer landed on the balcony of his agency. He entered his office only to see Nahida sitting in his chair. She stared at him, her face forming into a frown. Yeah, read his mind, why don't she? Wanderer's expression was blank, his purple eyes meeting disappointed green. Did it help you? Nahida asked simply. No. Wanderer walked over to his small kitchen and poured himself some tea. Strange, before, he did more heinous and disgusting things than what he just did. But now, he felt disgusted with himself. You're shaking, Nahida told him. He was. You stopped those men before they did something worse, Nahida sighed. But you didn't have to go that far. They had it coming. Wanderer scowled. People like that shouldn't exist. But, if that was the case, he shouldn't exist. Fujin, what you experienced was a human reaction to what you heard today, Nahida told him. I'm not human. Aren't you? Wanderer looked at his hand. Your past is still part of your story. It's only natural that the balladeer surfaces in hard times, Nahida told him. She was right, but he wasn't that person anymore. Taking out his phone and called someone. Faruzan, send some money to Ichanara Hospital, Wanderer said into his phone. He was a hero and needed to remember that. Unfortunately, this part is over. I hope you enjoyed it. My apologies for all those quotes. Please have a good morning, afternoon, evening or night. See you next time, faves.